fleshed out version that's fully operable system-wide. What our challenge is going forward is to evaluate the opportunities for a smart grid, what it can do for us, what it can do for our customers, and to manage that cost and that implementation and that schedule in a manner that is appropriate for us and for our customers, and to not do so before we're comfortable with that and the impact it's going to have on our budgets and on our rates and on our customers. Commissioners, in summary, what we're facing today is what every utility across the country is facing: the need for replacing the aging infrastructure that we all have. We, KUB, are very fortunate in that we've addressed some of the non-asset related issues and started addressing those years ago. Personnel issues, workforce issues, staffing, pension, healthcare, automation, things of that nature that better position us to control our cost, to be more efficient and more effective with what we do and how we do it, and now allow us to focus on our greatest need, which is our asset management program. We think we're positioned well at this point in time to be able to do that. But clearly, we think there is a need, a growing need, for increased investment in our asset renewal and replacement programs, Century 2. And those are what we will focus on to a large degree in more details at next month's presentations and beyond that as well. If you look at this timeline, obviously you're familiar with the normal spring events, this meeting in preparation for next month's budget and 5-year financial plan. You'll hear more about the details, flesh out some of these concerns with regard to our capital programs and our needs next month. In May, the budget package will be brought to you for consideration. And then over the course of the summer, we'll have individuals who will be presenting as part of the President's report on some of the initiatives that I touched on today that we think have led us to be more effective, more efficient, more capable of doing what we're doing today with the fewer resources that we're doing it with. How have we become able to see a decline in our workforce and still get the work done that we're doing? How are we now positioned to use those savings and those changes going forward to improve our levels of maintenance and replacement and continued service and reliability to our customers? And then in the fall, we'll come back with more discussions about Century 2 and how we can best implement the changes that are necessary there. Let me back up just a minute. The one thing that is going to be very different and very unique about next month's presentations is that we will have financial models, and we'll be able to sit with you at next month's meeting and talk about options and talk about different levels perhaps of funding, different means of achieving those funding needs, and see how that works and show you and illustrate for you what changing one parameter does to other parameters, and give you a little bit better feel for what we're trying to do, how we're trying to do it, and what the limitations might be with regard to options and opportunities for funding a Century 2 program. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Bill, there's not a national wet weather policy right now?
There is not a national wet weather policy. There are components of it, okay, and there are multiple interpretations by EPA at the regional basis, the regional level, of what they think, how to interpret those portions of it that are out there. But the proposed national policy was actually put together, negotiated between environmental groups and the industry several years ago. And surprisingly enough, both the environmental groups and the wastewater industry got comfortable with it, but for some reason it's bogged down within EPA and has never been released.
So would you anticipate it further affecting our consent decree or the requirements of wastewater policies?
I will
Who
be,
really can tell?
I will be very surprised if the national policy puts any additional burden of any significance on us. As a matter of fact, I think what you will see are that some of the things that were negotiated into our consent decree will end up in the national policy. So I think the national policy will, I think it's the other way around. I think our consent decree will mirror in many respects the national policy, and I think we'll be okay.
Hey, Bill, a year or probably longer ago, we had some discussions about the fact that one of the consequences of the economic downturn was that there were deals to be had. Is that still the case, or have a number of factors, including the price of oil, sort of swallowed up that?
We have seen some very competitive bid prices, particularly on phase 10, where we're putting in a tremendous amount of pipe work and we're doing an awful lot of heavy construction. We feel like we have gotten some very competitive, very good prices that we would not have gotten otherwise were it not for the situation with the economy. We've seen that reflected elsewhere in our budgets as well. I think in chemical costs, we've seen chemical costs primarily going down, although there's a little bit of bouncing back and forth. But overall, I would tell you that everything from transformers to pipe, we have been getting very competitive, very good bids on in the last year and a half, 2 years.
And what was the transformer cost at Gerdau compared to 5 years ago?
I think it was, I don't remember the numbers exactly, I think it was down at least 50% over the previous.
Expensive transformers.
Yes. Yeah, these are transformers that are over $1 million.
Yeah.
One thing, I don't, you just touched on it, and I would be, we talked a little bit about it, I don't know if next month is the time to do it, but on water loss, it kind of triggers all, the electric, we talked a little bit about gas loss, a little bit about electric loss, and those numbers are pretty big, as I recall, on just what you said today. And I know we're doing everything within, I guess, current technology, but I might want to talk a little, or if that could be part, and again, it doesn't have to be then, but it might be somewhere there that anything else we could do to minimize those losses.
Keep in mind, when we talk about losses, true losses on the electric system and the gas system are nowhere near the kinds of percentages we're looking at on water. Different systems, different controls, different measurements. The losses there are not that significant at all, but we can address those issues.
I'd just be interested to know on a percentage basis where we are with this stuff.
Okay, all right. We can do that. Anything else?
Other questions? Madam President, is that it?
That's all we had.
Okay, are there other business or comments, commissioners? Any public comments? Okay, we will adjourn and remind everybody that board staff will lunch meeting across the hall is open to the public. Good day, everybody.